Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. And this week we're going to take a look at advertisements from audio companies of the 1960s, and we're going to look at 1964. All right, well, thanks for sticking around. So I've done several of these videos before about advertisements of different years. And in those videos, some of them I have put all of the manufacturers in alphabetical order. In other videos, I've put the speakers in one section, the receivers or amps in one, the turntables in one. So I've done it different ways. But 1964, it's kind of a keystone year. Most of us consider 1964 to be sort of the last year of the tube era. And although solid state had come in before that, there were some models and some receivers and things like that that had come out as solid state, but they weren't of the big brands and they weren't considered very good. But in 1964, it's a transitional year. And what you'll see in the advertisements is starting off in the beginning of the year, it's all around tubes, and then by the end of the year, it starts to more so focus on solid state. So for that reason, I have left the ads in chronological order by month. So I'm not going to delineate them that way. I'm just going to run through them. But you'll notice when we start that everything is focused on tubes, and then by the end, when we get to about the 3/4 mark, you'll start to see more solid state and more solid state. So it's an interesting, I'll say, very pivotal year for audio. So we're going to go through that now. Stick around. It's going to be a fairly long video, I think. Lots of advertisements because there was so much going on that year, and there's a lot to cover. So hope you enjoy it, and we'll do a little summary at the end. All right. Well, it seems quite appropriate for Fisher to kick us off. And this is simply connect your Fisher speakers to this all-in-one Fisher receiver. Kind of interesting. It certainly was not what we typically talk about as an all-in-one. When we say all-in-one in the hobby, we're mean a receiver, but with a turntable built in, an 8-track built in, some other things, a cassette deck, these sorts of things. So this was their way of just sort of capturing attention. This is a receiver, and if you are only going to listen to radio, well, then you're all set. You can just hook up your speakers and you're ready to go. But as you can see, this is certainly a tube model. Moving on, we got Gerard here. My daddy bought us a new car. He says it's worth $7,000. Well, my dad bought a Gerard automatic turntable. He says it's worth $1 million. Interesting advertising there on the playground. Grado, truly the world's finest. I don't recall seeing a Grado turntable before, so apparently before they were making just cartridges, they also made some turntables. And on to EMI here. A great loudspeaker must also be a great soft speaker. Can't say I've ever seen any of these from that era, but that is EMI. Benjamin Truvox. Not familiar with Truvox, but looks like they were making some reel-to-reels, which we'll see quite a few reel-to-reel manufacturers. Some I've seen before, some I have not. Quite interesting. So this is the Benjamin Truvox PD100. Now this is an invention. This is the induced magnet transducer. I guess a new head shell, a new cartridge from ADC. Koss Stereophones. One of the first, or early, I'll say, it seems like a big name early on in headphones was Koss. They went into making speakers for a while in the 70s, and now back then, in 1964, they were making some Koss electronics headphones. Looks like they got a lot of famous people there. On to the right here, new from Shure, the originators of scratch-proof, high-fidelity tone arms. Scratch-proof cartridge assembly for Gerard and microcord owners. Well, I guess that caught some attention. Keep the cats off your turntable. Now Lafayette Lafayette was similar to Radio Shack. They weren't as prolific as far as number of stores, but they were an electronics store, and a lot of folks had chimed in on a prior video and said that they had frequented them quite a bit, and their gear was typically a little bit higher end over Radio Shack. Any turntable, manual or automatic, is obsolete today if it can't 1. Track with today's finest cartridges, 2. Start and stop automatically, and 3. Change records when desired. Only the Dual 1009 can do that, apparently. Let's see, on a deserted mountaintop 10,000 feet above the California desert, the Scott Monophonic 310 is about to be replaced by the new Transistor 4312 stereo tuner. So here we see the first initial one of the Transistor solid state ads for, in this case, a tuner. Here we are again, 7 features that make the Scott 4312 the world's first truly reliable transistorized tuner. On the left here, University loudspeakers, a 264 square inch woofer in a 3-way speaker system that's only 1 3/4 inch thin, the triplanar speaker system. I've seen these advertised over the years. I've never actually had the opportunity to buy one, but I've seen them here or there and have no idea if they have any issues with them, if they need maintenance or anything, but looks like quite an interesting speaker. And let's see, who wants to see a tape recorder in the living room? Well, little lady of the house sure does like that that cabinet over there. And put it in natural beauty of teak. Well, there you go. It's the Miranda tape recorders. Can't say I've heard of Miranda. Let's see. Oh, this was the extension of that. This is a Miranda, and these are the reel-to-reel players here. 2 magnificent new stereo tape recorders featuring major electronic advances, plus the beauty of genuine teak wood cabinetry. Well, I guess if it looks good, who cares how it sounds, huh? Now, should Sherwood increase its prices by 20%? No, that's what they're focusing on here. They're giving you all these features for their tuners and amplifiers. Moving on to the new Citation B from Harman Kardon. By combining this unit, Citation A, with a solid-state basic amplifier of comparable quality, a sound path could be set up that approaches the classic goal of amplifier design, a straight wire with gain. On to the right here, we got Bogan. What went on in room 433 at New York's Hi-Fi show? Well, it was the first solid-state receiver, the Bogan RT1000, a super instrument, accorded the most enthusiastic response from Bogan. Now, this was an interesting little cartoon here, advertisement from Scott. And I thought it was, kind of interesting. Starts out with, this guy who doesn't have a lot of self-esteem, it seems like, but he looks up to this fellow named Clyde, and he's a little intimidated by the fact of, thinking about building his own stereo. So he goes down and sees this hi-fi guy, and the hi-fi guy says, no, you can certainly take this kit, take it home and build it. He does so, and he enjoys the music. It's so great, and it just sort of changes his life forever, apparently. So quite an interesting 2-page ad from Scott to get that point across. Now we've got Dynaco, the Stereomatic Dyna Tuner. It's an incomparable value. Just look inside. Shows you everything. And this is another kit. This is a time frame when kits were very popular. If you want to save some money, you could order it in kit form, and they would give you these very detailed instructions, and you could build it, at home. So that was quite a popular thing to do. On the right here, we got the KLH. Let's see, perhaps it's the most important specification. KLH designed it, KLH builds it. It's the KLH Model 16 integrated music amplifier. The new ICO Classic 2536 stereo FM receiver. Now, every other stereo receiver seems overpriced. Kind of looks like a Scott though, doesn't it? of the rotary dial. I don't think I've ever seen that particular model from ICO. I have a couple of ICO pieces, but I don't think I've seen that one in person before. On the right here, we've got the Concertone 505. It's the Imperial Series. There's no end to your listening pleasure with the Concertone double reverse automatic. And it's also a Concertone 510 and a 400 Cosmopolitan. What's new at Heathkit? Me, apparently. Looks like they've got some other stuff. What is that? An amplifier kit again. Of course, Heathkit, very well known for their kits. You could order and build them. They're probably the most prolific kit manufacturer that was out there at the time. You can take Heathkit's deluxe transistor stereo amp, add it to the deluxe transistor AM/FM stereo tuner, and enjoy the sound, the transistor sound. Now on the left here, I was always surprised in earlier magazine ads that I never saw antennas, but in this one, on this particular year, I did see several, which I think I have them in here, but achieved thrilling living presence with the Finco award-winning FM antenna. Seems kind of appropriate for them to be here. And then on the middle here, command performance at your fingertips. These are Viking reel-to-reels. Vikings seem to be a little more higher end quality, more industrial, commercial type quality than some of the other reel-to-reel manufacturers. Don't know how much they were entrenched into the consumer market, but they did seem to build a pretty well-built product. Let's see, on the right side here, we've got Heathkit again. They're marketing their transistor stereo power and their stereo tuner, and it's a low-cost matched pair. Now here's one I don't think I've seen this ad before. Cypher Denon 800. So I'm not familiar with that. Of course, we're familiar with Denon, but had not seen this Cypher before. So not sure what that relationship is. If anyone is familiar with that, put some comments. But this is interesting. A professional 4-track stereo mono tape recorder with 3 hysteresis synchronous motors. So it looks pretty well built though. Let's see, in the middle here, we've got the Rockford acoustical cabinet. It's a contemporary console that houses complete systems, including a tape deck, a changer, and a turntable, an amplifier, tuner, and speakers. People can put everything in there. And some LPs, apparently. So on the right, we've got Grado, the Tracer Beam. This is the stereo cartridges that meet all of these requirements below. Now, we've got the famous Freeman professional recorders. Another recording system that I'm not familiar with. I don't think I've ever seen Freeman. This is a 200 stereophonic robot. Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. In the middle here, let's see, we have the AR turntable. It's good for the money. It has speed, accuracy, wow and flutter, rumble, acoustic feedback. Everybody's complimenting the AR turntable. On the right here, the Utah Huntington 3-speaker system. Quite a few Utahs I've run across over the years. I think they did have some fairly high-end drivers. For the most part, most of the ones I've run into have been their middle of the road or lower models, but Utah seemed to be quite prolific. Now we're on to Pickering cartridges. What makes an automatic sound like a turntable? Well, it's the U38 apparently, and expressly designed for automatic turntables. Now on the right, I found this kind of interesting. Sony Super Scope. So I've never seen that before. So I don't know if early on Sony was partnering with Super Scope to import their reel-to-reels, but it seems something like that. Now, of course, later on, so I think around this time frame, Super Scope bought Marantz, right? So interesting to see this partnership going on, but they were advertising this quite a bit in the 1964 year. Now there are 2 great tapes to capture sound brilliantly. It's 2 new magnetic tapes from Kodak, both with high performance oxide layer that gives a new richness and brilliance to your recorded sound. So Eastman Kodak in the business of making tape. Now on the right, resolved the conflict between compact size and big speaker performance. Electro-Voice has fixed it. They've got the EV6 there. Looks like a fairly big unit, but they've got some other smaller, more compact speakers. They have pretty much a full gamut. Now even a professional audio engineering journal bows to the integrated all-in-one concept. It's the Fisher 500C. Yeah, I have one of these, and these are great units, beautiful units. I find them, you know, to me, of the tube era, I like them a lot. I think they're pretty cool. So on the left here, what is this? This is the Allegra 106. Allegra means lively. Oh, okay, this looks like it's from Grom's, some of their models. I'm familiar with some of the Zenith Allegra, but I couldn't capture the Grom's name there. I see it now. Now we have in the middle the all-new solid-state integrated Paralan 730 amplifier. Can't say I've heard of this company. Paran, not sure. Development Corporation. So it looks like one of those companies that came out early on, trying to capture, I guess, some market share with the, you know, solid state. You know, it looks pretty decent in this picture, but I've never heard of the brand and never come across them. On the right here, another antenna, this one from Winegard. How good is this from Winegard FM Stereotron antenna? It's so good, it's guaranteed. All right, extravagance. Well, from Scott, I think they're pretty impressed with their transformers here. So they're a bit oversized. They want to show that off. On the right here, let's see, we've got some silver plate radio frequency circuit on the front of an FM tuner. Scott doesn't think so, and neither do the editors of the leading hi-fi magazines. All right. More extravagance. Printing an instruction book in natural color is a tremendously costly process. All other kit manufacturers print their instruction books in black and white. If black and white is good enough for everybody else, why must Scott spend so much extra for color? Well, Scott goes the extra mile, of course. Now on the right here, Murray Tone. Murray Tone, spherical. The unmatched performance of spherical sound brings you a new dimension in timbre, presence, and response. Another name I'm not familiar with, but you know, they've got a cool setup there with a nice pipe, which is an interesting ad coming up a little bit. Now, Norelco, did you hear Schubert's Ninth this morning? I recorded it complete in stereo. And I wasn't home to go to school again to record a long lecture on anthropogenesis. Interesting mini micro reel-to-reel. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. That's pretty cool. I guess this somewhat preceded the cassette deck, although I think there is an ad in here about cassettes, but I've never seen a small little upright portable like that. On the right, real FM authorities agree for the best seat in the house, you need a Finco FM antenna. If you really want to pull them in, you got to have it. On to ADC here. This is not a refinement. This is an invention, the induced magnet transducer. It's a different ad that they've had before. That was the one that they had before was slightly different, but same theme. And here is the Sony Super Scope again. This one is a lyric majesty of Sony sound. Looks like a more portable reel-to-reel in this case, but again, it's Sony and Super Scope. Now here's Thorens. Do you have a monkey wrench in your automatic turntable? Any spindle that permits the stacking of records on a turntable throws a monkey wrench into the entire system. So they figured it out. With the stacking of records varies the stylus angle and increases the load on the motor, and it creates flutter and wears records, diminishes your listening pleasure. Is it worth all that just to change records? If you want a transcription turntable plus a changer working together properly, see the Thorens TD224. They've got the answer. Well, right here, that's the cartridge from Pickering. It's the U38. Actually, we saw that earlier. On to Sherwood. Again, talking about their increase in prices, we don't want them. On the right here, more clean, undistorted power, bandwidth, and features than far costlier stereophonic high-fidelity receivers. It's the new award TA700X, not 7000X, from Harman Kardon. I've seen these before. I've not actually owned one though, or heard one, but they look pretty impressive. I think they kind of look pretty cool. It looks like, in this setup, it kind of looks like the dual guitars in a way, with the FM on one of the top side and the AM on the lower side. Now we've got a Concord 884. It's the Star Performer, Concord's transistorized Model 884 reel-to-reel. Let's see, on the right, you could spend $100 more and not get better performance. It has all these different features from RicoCut. Here's ICO again, giving you the full stack here. An FM tape stereo system of comparable quality would cost up to $850, but you can build it from ICO kits for only $445. Yeah, ICO, another big kit provider. On the right, whether you use your MyRecord or an automatic changer, or let's see, there I missed that. Let's see, whether you use your MyRecord as a manual turntable, an automatic turntable, or an automatic changer, you have the same quality. Get you a Benjamin MyRecord. All right, from Heathkit, extra savings are in the bag when you buy and build a Heathkit. And what's new at Heathkit? It's me. We've seen that ad before. Now, here's some Heathkit. If you really want to build something, how about a television? You're going to send you this big tube, and you can put it all together from parts to picture in just 25 hours. How about that? Let's see it, and it's only $349. There's the match pair again. Let's see. Taking Heathkit select transistor stereo. We've seen that. On the right, we have starting and moving up. These are the Heathkit enclosures, and I actually have owned these enclosures before, but they didn't. Let's see. They had some university drivers in them, from what I recall. I think I still have them. Wolverines, I think they were. But I had those cabinets before. I sold them years ago before I moved, but I have seen those at one point in time. So Heathkit, you could build everything. You can even assemble an orchestra by building your own organ. How about that? In the center here, it's a tall boy or low boy. It's still the best sound from Leek. Leek makes some really cool stuff. It's kind of rare here on this side of the pond, but they made some fantastic products. Now on to Sony, they now offer a choice in the personal television. So here are some of the lifestyle products. Sony back in 1964, starting out with, personal TVs. So they've pretty much always been in that arena, it seems. On the left here, AR Acoustic Research, the AR3, and this is a report from London, the music editor's evaluation, and Dizzy Gillespie about the AR2A. On the right, what does Bogan have that nobody else has? It's got all that. That's what? That is Bogan. All right, so this is the LTV University line of speakers. You've got the Silhouette, the Mini, and the Triplanar. Quite interesting. On the right, Dynaco products here, quality, economy, and dependability. So there's the FM3, the PAS3, the Mark III. I've got one Mark III. I can't seem to run across another one. And some other another FM3 tuner on the right there. But lots of great products, lots of fans for Dynaco, lots of support still out there for their a lot of their the ST70 in particular. There's still support out there. You can find boards for them and all sorts of other things. So on the left, it's Altec, the new all-transistor playback perfection. Now, I always think of Altec as the speaker company. You don't often think about any of their other electronic gear. that they came out with. I do have a piece or two, but it's just not something I think about as just think of them as a speaker company. On the right here, Ampex. So for Ampex, I typically think of them as a commercial products company, not so much a consumer company, but this is they did have several lines for consumer reel-to-reels. That was sort of their niche. On the left here, Electro-Voice, their drivers. Now recall, this is a time frame when it was very popular to go buy your drivers and then get the instructions for how to go build an enclosure for it at home, make it, do it yourself. So this is a return to the fundamental concept of high fidelity sound of uncompromising quality. So these are all the different drivers that you could go buy. On the right here, it's the remarkable 340B from Scott. And this is tube. So as you can see, we're going, we see a lot of solid state and then tube. So a lot of back and forth on the advertising for both. This is the 380 on the left, and on the right, a tuner amplifier as good as separate components. Yes, says Audio about the Scott. So they're really pushing the Scott 340B. And on the left, Garrard. Consider this with other units now offering counterweight tone arms, oversized turntables, and precision motors. What makes the Garrard so special? Well, all these things listed here. In the middle here, this is what I was referring to earlier. I think the audiophile was associated with somebody who was into orchestra music and had I guess their own study. And in that study, when with your books and your music and everything, you're going to listen to that smoking a pipe, of course. And if you're going to do that, you might as well smoke a Kenwood. They were producing some of the best pipes around. On the right, Tandberg. Let's see, we got the Model 74. It's a 3-speed, 4-track, complete stereo music system. Now, Wallensack is the most versatile selection of tape decks in music history, bar none. And these are on the next page. You saw all of the different models they were producing. Now this is interesting, the Grenadier Empire. I have seen these several times. I've never heard them, I've never owned them, but I always kind of thought they were from the 70s. I didn't realize they went all the way back to 1964. I have heard of folks that actually like them very much. So at some point, if I ever run across a set, I'd love to hear them. And if anyone has experience with them, I'd love to get, put some comments in, love to know your experience with them. Kind of a unique speaker. It lets you sit anywhere and hear everything, apparently. On the right here, Wharfedale. Wharfedale was a pretty big manufacturer. They have a pretty big suite of speakers and drivers. Now here's the Wharfedale, a little more explicit photo here to give you a breakdown of the different components. One of the things that sets the Wharfedales apart for a certain area of the model line was their sand-filled enclosures. So you can see the split there in the right picture kind of shows you that sandwiched inside there, they filled it with sand, sort of deadening material. So that's a big feature of early Wharfedales. On the right, Koss again, showing off their different line of reel-to-reel recorders. Looks like they're all sort of small portable models along with some of their headphones. Now there's no such thing as the one best tuner, and here are all of the, at least 6 of them, great tuners from Fisher at the time. Now these are the FM 100 and B, and I believe all of these on the left are going to be tube models. And on the right, it's the same thing. This is their no such thing as the one best amplifier, and these are all of their tube era amplifiers on the right side. We're going to go on here. This is the Vernon 4726 reel-to-reel. Never heard of Vernon. Can't say that I've ever seen one. Right here, Sherwood. These are the separate tuners. And Sherwood they were a pretty good manufacturer of the day, but didn't advertise nearly as much as Scott and Fisher. Now on the left here, Harman Kardon, the new Citation B, by combining this unit, Citation A, with a solid state bass amp and comparable quality, we can get a straight wire with gain. I think we saw this ad already. And we saw the Concord 884, but this is a different ad here, kind of making it look like a gentleman's reel-to-reel, I think. Moving on, we've got acoustic research here. They've got their full system set up here. It's the best money can buy. I'm going to skip the Concord. On the left, LTV University again. This is their medallion line. And on the right, we've got ICO showing their system stack. So again, these are month over month, and there's some of these are similar ads. Some of them are very, the same, but they're continuing to, they'll modify these and change these as time goes on here. Now we got an ADC 0.4. Why doesn't somebody make a changer cartridge? And they did. It's the 0.4. Now here's the concert tone. It's an incomparable concert tone Caravelle. Right, there's that Grado. On the left. On the right, this is a company I've never seen. This TRW. The TRW I'm familiar with, I think it makes car products today, but back then it looks like there's a company that was making various audio components. I've never seen a TRW product that I can recall, or maybe they were a distributor, because I see it looks like these are from Bell actually. So these were labeled Bell, maybe distributed by this TRW. Now you can use a triple play tape without loss of output. It's the Reeve Soundcraft triple play magnetic tape. All right, well, we're seeing a lot of reel-to-reels, so obviously we're going to have some tape to put on them. On the right, how can the new XP5 speaker be this small and still sound like a Fisher? I don't know, you got me, but this is one of the things I never considered Fisher to be a speaker company. They were just trying to cover everything. If you wanted a whole brand of your system, they offered it, every component, but I never considered them a speaker manufacturer per se. So on the left here, it's United Dual again. This is the 1009. We've seen that. On the right, why should you buy and enjoy Tarsian tape? Don't know, but they're going to explain it, I guess, and all that verbiage there. Never heard of it. Don't think I've ever seen a Tarsian tape. That's interesting. Now, which stereo receiver is your best value? Well, if you choose E, go direct to the coupon and collect $89 to $385 in savings from Heathkit. So you got the Heathkit Deluxe All Transistor Stereo again, and I'm sure you can get home and build this if you want to. On the left, this is that Cypher 7. Again, I've not seen Cypher before. Now let's see, Truly the Products United Artists. So United Artists was coming out with these, I guess, or marketing them. Now in the middle, the Dymo Label Maker. I think we all had one of these. If you grew up in the 60s and 70s, I think at one time or another, we all had a Dymo label maker in the house. And they were that plastic strip, and it had a impact, sort of like a typewriter almost. And you would, click out your words and then, put your label on whatever. I can tell you, I've picked up many a stereo component with the little labels on the back of how to connect things, because for some it was a very confusing thing, and they would post, glue these, or they were sticker backs. They would stick them to the back of their components to know how to connect them. So I think we all had a Dymo label maker at some point. On the right, it's KLH. KLH was pretty much hitting all cylinders at this time frame. Now it's a slimline or a bookshelf. Pick which one and suits your needs. Model 14. I actually didn't know they made a Model 14 Slim. I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen the regular model, the bookshelf model. Now on the left here, the Crown. Crown has been a pretty big manufacturer. They were making some quite nice, probably more commercial grade reel-to-reels of this era. And here's Jensen, the TF3s. I've had some TF3s. I have to tell you, I think they were probably the worst speaker I ever heard. I used them as speaker stands for a long time. Turned around and I just put something else on top of them. I just couldn't bear the sound of these things. But they came out in '64 apparently. On the right, Andre. Here's Andre on a Roberts reel-to-reel. Now, Roberts reel-to-reels, they seem to had been very prolific. I've run across them quite a bit. Lots of folks like to, if you can see there, those are basically two little mono amps in the bottom. And you can take them apart and use them separately. A lot of people have repurposed them, rebuilt them. Just a fun little project. I think there's a lot of information online to do that. On to the RCA Victor Instatape, all-in-one stereo tape cartridge recorder. I don't think that's a cassette in there, but that's interesting. On the right, Sony again with portables. This is the TFM 116A, the FM AM Marine portable with snap tuning. Another Sony first. Let's see on the left, it's the Benjamin MyRecord. Got their hysteresis motor. And then we have perfection can be an accident once, but not 4 times in a row from EMI. On the left here, we have Telefunken. Now hear this. Not to be confused with NHT speakers, quite a different thing and much later. But this is the Telefunken reel-to-reel. Then we have Portable Perfection for hi-fi fans from Dynaco. And this is that, I never could figure out where the B&O Dynaco came in as far as a partnership, but they were sort of co-marketing things, I guess. On the right here, Ampex again. Ampex, high-end reel-to-reel company. On the left, Newcomb. Newcomb, I've run across them. They seem to be quite a prolific reel-to-reel company as well. As you can see, the volume of reel-to-reels pretty heavy here. In the middle, interesting at the end of near the end of the tube era, people still had tube TVs and tube radios and tube amplifiers already in their homes. So why not, try to market them a 5-socket tester, something inexpensive. They can test their tubes at home. On the right, Altec. We are quite familiar with Altec here. Looks like the 604 variant, and they're showing off how prolific they are in the commercial arena and institutions, recording studios and the like. Quite a few bit of advertising in that area. On the left, this is a magnificent setting for the superb new Scott 345 tuner amplifier, or maybe a receiver as we would call it. It's a classic simplicity of line and graciously accents the finest decor. On the right, Pickering. This is the new V15 micromagnetic. Now on the left, Honeywell. I thought this was interesting. I think this is around the time when the higher quality cameras started coming out, and you have Honeywell Pentax marketing their camera in an audio magazine. In the middle here, it's the Bravo magazine's high fidelity expert says that when the sky is the limit, you kind of put all these systems together. You got acoustic research with a Stanton cartridge, a Harman Citation preamp, Citation B 2B amplifier, and some acoustic research AR3 speakers for the price of $1,187.45. Come on in and pick up a set today. Let's see on the right here, it's the new MagnaCord. Wow, that's quite a busy looking reel-to-reel. I've seen MagnaCord quite a bit, but the ones I've seen were not as, that looks pretty well built. I've not seen that particular model before. $600, I guess in that time frame, would have been quite a good sum of money. All right, on the left, it's ceramic cartridge in a system like this. Absolutely, it's from Sonotone. In the middle here's Cypher again. Again, I've never run across Cypher, so interesting. They were advertising quite a bit in 1964. These are the amazing Cypher tape recorders from Japan. Don't wait for an expensive American or European imitation. On the right here, it's Sherwood again, doing some more advertising. On the left, Harman Kardon. There are 4 excellent vacuum tube stereo control centers on the market today. Stereo control center, I always found that interesting. So the preamp stereo control center. Now it's the new citation, A will surpass them all, or they're asking the question and they're going to list all the reasons why they should. On the right here, JBL. So these are some, you don't see JBL advertising too much in this time frame. They seem to do it only every few, maybe once a quarter. Will your ultimate precision loudspeaker be a JBL linear efficiency system or a JBL high efficiency system? And that's the Olympus on the left and the C37 on the right. Pretty cool stuff. Now let's see on the left here, it's the Hysteresis synchronous motor from Benjamin Myrecord. On the right, it's KLH. They made a fine speaker and you made it a classic. It's the classified advertisements are the graveyard of speaker claims. So this is the KLH Model 6. Now on the left, it is the portable radio again from Sony and the remarkable, using the remarkable Esaki diode. This is the EFM 117. In the middle, no more cartridge compromises. Well, let's see. Who put this together? Now you can use Ortofon top-rated cartridge even with automatic turntables. Wow. On the right, only Jensen's new DL220 has all these extra value features. I've heard and read good things about this particular series. I would love to hear a set sometime, but they were probably pretty expensive and therefore somewhat hard to find. But I've always understood the DL220 to be a pretty nice speaker. Let's see on the left, you could spend $100 more and get better performance. I think we've seen that. And here's the LTV University again, this time with the classic Mark II with a 15-inch woofer and the classic Dual with the 12-inch woofer. Now here on the left, it's Kenwood. First time I've seen Kenwood, of this time frame that I can recall. And this is their AM/FM stereo multiplex receivers. 3 wonderful ways to go stereo and get the best performance out of your budget too. So that's the KW70 and then the 50 and the 30. Quite cool. Now in the middle, noteworthy for elegance, simplicity, it's the AR turntable, and got a lady there thinking about it very hard about buying that. On the right side, you get the RCA microphone. What is that, an SK46? Got to have a microphone for your reel-to-reel, right? Here we are with the Super Scope. Now this time, it's just Super Scope on the brand down there in the bottom, the logo, but it does say Sony up there at the top. So the commanding presence of Sony sound. So kind of a different advertisement than we saw prior. On the right, it's Kodak tape again for every recording need. It gives you all the different tape links and recording times. Now, this was interesting, I found in the, this was around June time frame, and this is on the left side, wait. Before you invest hundreds of dollars in transistor stereo components, wait for the announcement on the new Fisher transistor models in next month's issue of the audio magazines. You'll be glad you took our advice. So they are prepping and getting ready to release their new transistor solid state line, and they're still marketing, their tube line. But everyone else is sort of, not everyone, but other companies are starting to come out, and I think they're trying to, get some attention that, hey, we've got this new solid state coming as well, so hang in there. On the right, it's United Audio Dual, and this is the 1009 again. They were spent quite a bit of time, giving you lots of close-up details of what each of their turntables would do. Now on the left here, this is the Fisher KX200. This is a kit, and you could buy this kit, bring it, have it shipped, or go pick it up and bring it home. And the absolute end and stereo control amplifiers, so not integrated amp, but a control amplifier. In the middle here, it's the Finco again, marketing their antennas. On the right, component people are a breed apart. It's the new Solid State 1000 series by Harman Kardon. Now, as a concert tone on the left, we've seen this is a Caravelle. On the right, it's ITT. ITT was making some stereo tuner amplifier products in the 1964. This is the SMX 800. Never seen this before, kind of unique. So on the left here, it's AR. 3 magazines select their top hi-fi systems, and you've got the AR turntable in there, and the AR3 speakers are in there, and they're getting lots of kudos. On the right, Heathkit. It's pretty cool. I like that. I always like that sort of design of that model. It reminds me, for some reason, I think Jetsons, I don't know, something about it. 3 ways to own a transistor stereo amplifier. It's the hard way. You can design it and buy the parts, or the costly way, you can buy it assembled, or the best way, it's to build the AA21, of course. Now on the left, it's RCA, Record Savings, the new feather action tone arm. It protects records against needle scratch. And on the right here, Play Fiddle Play. If you're going to hear the best music, you want to use audio tape. Now this is kind of interesting. On the left here, Electro-Voice. This is the EV Sonocaster, indoor-outdoor high-fidelity speaker. Never knew this existed. First time I've ever seen it. Kind of cool. You can set it up outside. I guess run your wires. Today we think of wireless speakers and stuff, but back then, kind of cool to have a portable speaker. On the right, outperforms the finest vacuum tube units, engineering breakthroughs in solid state. Let's see, who put this? A Scott unit. This is the other side of that ad. I should have put these together, but it was 3 different pages here. So this is the Scott 312, and it's a solid state tuner, and it brings major improvement to FM listening. And here's Garrard. Consider this. More people have purchased these 3 Garrard models than any other record playing components combined. Probably true. There are, the Garrard's turntables were extremely prolific in this time frame. I've seen probably these Garrard various models in all sorts of things over the years. And I wouldn't doubt before the 1970s, that's probably very true. After the 70s, Technics probably owns that title. On the right here, this was something I'd never heard of. I'd never seen this before. The Omnisonic 360 sound by Acoustica, a revolutionary development in loudspeakers. And it's a transparent shade that's exquisitely designed room lamp is also a wide-range electrostatic speaker. Now, who knew this thing ever existed? It's the magnificent clarity of Acoustica Omnisonic sound, provides a stereo of unimagined realism anywhere in a room. There's absolutely no dead spots. So I don't know how you set this thing up. You're sitting on your couch and you've got one of these things next to you on the couch and you're listening to it. So I don't know, kind of strange, but didn't know this existed. This would be so cool just to see and just to hear these things play. I don't know, I can't imagine how these things were set up, but I guess you set up your couch and you put your your end tables on each end, put these on there, and then you set up your chair, your listening chair across from it and listen. I don't know, kind of interesting. Here on the left here, let's see, an important feature has been missing from all transistorized components. Introducing the world's only transistorized components featuring Fisher reliability. So Fisher has come to the rescue of solid state, and they're finally bringing out their products. Pretty cool stuff. The Fisher 600 transistor stereo receiver. I guess this is the next month. People waited. Now we've got 65 watts and 1.8 microvolts for $329.50. It's the buy in all-in-one receivers, all-in-one. It's a Fisher. On the right here, it's that Miranda again, to conceal the beauty of solid-state circuitry of the Miranda Sorrento 4-track stereo tape recorder. So they were talking more about the enclosure than they were the what the sound would be from this thing. All right, we've got Harman Kardon again here, straight wire with gain. This is the breakthrough in application of semiconductors to high fidelity sound, the Citation A. Let's see on the right, the $78 turntable for a millionaire. The AR turntable, of course. It's the panel's choice. And you can pick any cartridge you like, of course, because Benjamin MyRecord has them all. It will work with any of them. On the right here, it's the Newcomb TX10 stereo tape recorder for 10.5-inch reels. Yeah, that's a more serious looking recorder than I've seen from any of the Newcombs I've seen over the years. On the left, which one of these tuner dials lets you pre-tune with professionally calibrated accuracy? Well, that'd be the Sherwood, of course. On the right, 6 heads are better than 3. That's the concert tone, reel-to-reel. That's a pretty heavy-duty looking reel-to-reel, but might take all of them to lift it, perhaps. I don't know. All right, we've got the new solid-state 1000 series from Harman Kardon. On the right, unexcelled by any other tuner. It's the Audio February 1964, Need We Say More, from McIntosh. The only ad I saw for the whole year from McIntosh. And in prior years, never a prolific advertiser at all. So let's see, this is the MR67. I've had this unit before. Actually, I think I still have this unit. On the left here, the Scott transistor tuner. It brings all the major improvements to FM listening, and you can own your own for just $259. Wow, that was quite expensive for 1964. And on the right here, it's from Fisher, the 500C, still manufacturing it. It's an excellent instrument by any standards. On the left, there's no such thing as the one best amplifier. There's at least 5 of the best amplifiers. So again, they're marketing their tube models here on the left, and then on the right here, anyone can make just as fine a tuner as Fisher. You just get the kit. Even your wife can build that thing. 1964. From this day on, audio tape will have a new formula. A formula unmatched by any other magnetic tape. Greater uniformity, greater sensitivity, greater durability, clarity, range. Hearing is believing, and try a reel of today's most remarkable tape from New Audio Tape. Kind of confusing naming your company Audio Tape, and that's what you're selling, but okay. So on the right, it's the Magnacord. Again, it's the 1024. Now here's the Sonotone, a ceramic cartridge. I don't think I've, used a Sonotone before. Kind of interesting. On the right here, it is the KLH. This is the Model 17. I'd like to get a Model 17, a set of them. I don't have any KLH currently. Now here's Kenwood, another advertisement from Kenwood. It's now solid state. It's the new look. Distinguished new Kenwood chassis for connoisseurs. So you can now pay less and enjoy the quality of highest price units. There you go. In the middle here, new Scott transistor tuner brings major improvement to FM listening. On the right, it's the new Fisher handbook. And I have one of these. It's kind of cool. It's a little handbook that you could get if you mailed it to the company, and they probably sent, tens of thousands of these out. But it's a great little read, and it's got a lot of nice information in there. Love that bookcase, by the way. That's pretty cool. Very MCM. Now here's the Fisher 50. It's 30 watts, a portable stereo system in a suitcase. You got a turntable in there, ready to crank some tunes. I don't know where you put your records, but you got at least you can carry your stereo. On the right, the Model 17 from KLH. Here's Marantz. Finally, Marantz is in here. It's the unequaled quality of Marantz, and you see there the Super Scope. So this was around the same time frame, I guess, when Super Scope bought Marantz. And looks like showing off some of their tube gear up there. The unequaled quality of Marantz products will never be compromised. So, pretty cool. On the right, Empire. Here's the first and only, I think, Empire advertisement I saw. The incomparable Troubadours, the world's most perfect record playback system. Here is Acoustec, not to be confused with Acoustat, I believe it is, that makes electrostats, but this was Acoustec. They had two new kits that make tube units obsolete. Here's Jensen again. Ever try to describe what an oyster tastes like? No one can. The same is pretty much true if we attempt to describe a sound, particularly the sound of two new Jensen shelf systems, the PR50 and the PR150. All right, I'll think about what an oyster tastes like, okay? On the right, it's the new 1965 Pure Quadramatic. Zero distortion amplifier for those who demand the best. Can't say I've ever heard of that. Pure Quadramatic Promotions, okay. Out of Chicago. No, don't think they sold many of those. On the left, it's Altec. Altec is showing off their commercial prowess here. Pretty big units. Let's see, they got the A7 speaker system up there. So in their, they pretty much have all their products, I guess, in the Capitol recording studio in Hollywood, and showing off what a recording looks like there with those big units set up top. Pretty cool. And then they've got the Capistrano and the Carmel that they're showcasing there for the consumer line. In the middle, here we got Utah again with one of their offerings. On the right, ban all visitors, send your family to the country, nail down the floorboards, and stop neighborhood traffic. You better get the new ADC quiet cartridge. On the left, this was a company, it looks like they make cabinets. AO, I took those pictures and turned them horizontal here so we could get a better picture, but looks like they made some, you buy the cabinet, put your own gear in there. On the right, it's the Heathkit tuner and stereo integrated amp combo for 89 bucks. Now here's the Lab 80. This is, I think I took maybe a couple more of these, but this was about 30 pages that they took out. Well, it's 32, that's what it says. In the magazine, page after page, going through very in-depth, probably the biggest advertisement I've ever seen for a particular product ever. They went into all kind of detail about it. I've seen quite a few of these. I've never actually used any of them, but I have much newer, better models. But these looked like they were fairly popular in this time frame. Here it is, the Lab 80. More than an automatic turntable, it's an automatic transcription turntable. All right, next up is the professional quality stereo system that anyone, yes, anyone, can install and operate. It's that gorgeous 500C from Fisher. On the right, it's a cool 100 watts with low heat Fisher transistor amplifier design. The new TX300 solid state stereo control amplifier. Now we have the totally new sound, literally, releasing the inaudible but important frequencies far below and far above the reaches of orchestral sound. The best performing FM stereo receivers ever made at any price. Actually, that looks much like a Fisher to me. Here's the new Sony Super Scope release. You're about to hear the magnificent sound of exciting new Sony Staircorder 200. That's an interesting name. On the right, this is the size of the 36-watt stereo amplifier we developed. Guess what we did with it? We put it in the Microcord 10 and a compact cabinet around it named the Benjamin Stereo 200. Now here on the left is one of the very few times I've ever seen a console stereo advertised. I assume they probably did most of their advertising in more general home magazines, I guess, but they weren't very much in stereo or audio magazines of the day. But this one came in from Sylvania. They were promoting theirs. What would you recommend in a high-quality console stereo? Well, high-quality components, of course. Those in the Maestro by Sylvania. Now on the right, we've got no other solid-state stereo tuner amplifier kit has ICO's $500 to $600 quality and looks it, but it's only $229.95. Now on the left, we have the Furnikit. This looks like came in a flat pack, IKEA style, I guess. Maybe it was the early IKEA company. You can get this cabinet and put it together yourself. All you need is a screwdriver to house your equipment in a fine cabinet at superb savings. On the right, it is an ad from JBL. They present the solid-state stereographic controller. It is a tour de force of creative engineering. On to Fisher. Fisher is putting out some big ads at this time frame. Fisher 1965. Now this ad was in 1964. They're calling them 1965 models, it looks like. 6 new bests in tuners and amplifiers. So we've got some new series here. The Fisher FM90B, the 100C, the 200C, and on the right here, the amplifiers, the X100, X101, and the X202, all going up from 50 watts to 65 watts and 84 watts. This is the page where they showed off those amplifiers. The best keeps getting better. That's how it remains the best. So this was an interesting ad. So they're showing that a lot of the companies, the brand names of the day, were still sticking with tube amps, tube technology. And they were, comparatively priced. This is the back side of them. And then you go and look at the Bogan, and it looks just like them, except it's solid state. This is the new RT6000 at $399. Now here's Norelco with their small portable reel-to-reels. But of note here, this is the first time I think I've seen an ad depicting the cassette. So I'd always, in my mind, the cassette sort of took off in the 70s, but here we are with one in 1964. The Carrycorder 150, revolutionary new cartridge tape recorder, provides the ultimate in convenience. So that was one of the first, I guess, one of the very early cassette players. On the right, Roberts, very prominent advertiser for their reel-to-reels in this time frame. Earlier it was the, I showed those, there was one ad with the little dual monoblock amps in it. And this is a slightly different model, the stereo portable with full range, big sound. Now KLH, putting out a lot of ads here. This one is the Model 11 goes with you. This is the portable one. And then the other Model 11 that stays home. So you've got one that goes with you and one that stays home. So they've got both a portable and at-home Model 11s. And then actual size photo of the world's largest record collection. I guess that was the way they described the radio back then. And later on it became, 1,000 songs in your pocket with the iPod and the MP3 player. Here is the lifetime rechargeable 7-transistor radio. I think we all, if we grew up in the 60s and 70s, I think we all at one time or another had at least one little transistor radio like this. And you had a little earbud, very uncomfortable thing, plastic thing that you stuck in your ear. But I had one of these at some point in time, listened to some AM radio, I think, for the most part. On the right here, it's a breakthrough. It's Jensen's new PR50, an outstanding hi-fi performance in 1/2 a cubic foot enclosure. Now we're on to Electro-Voice. It's the new EV LT8 three-way 8-inch speaker. It's to fill this 8-inch circle with the best sound you've ever heard for only $33. On the right, it's that Empire Royal Grenadier. This is the 9000M. We saw this before, but this is a different ad for it, but still quite prominent advertiser of the day. And I have seen these again. I've seen them advertised for sale. I've just never actually acquired and listened to one, but if you have, let me know. And the classic gift, it's the JBL Olympus. Boy, that's a beast. On the right, hey, who shrunk your tuner? KLH advertisement again for their small little tuner there, and for all the records in the radio. Now on the left, I thought this was interesting. This is the Concert Tone. We've seen lots of ads from Concert Tone, except this one is promoting and using Rock Hudson and Doris Day. I guess this is a movie they had, Send Me No Flowers. So using a bit of star power there to sell their merchandise. And on the right, this is the new Z700 shelf model speaker from Jensen. These were quite cool. I've not owned one of this particular model, but it's a little electrostat in there with, it's basically a hybrid. I bet these sounded pretty cool, pretty good. Looks like it was, I guess this is distributed by this Nashamini Electronic Corporation. Not sure how that worked out, but anyway, would like to hear some Jensens at some point. Now we're on to the first, and I think one of the earliest ads I've ever seen from Sansui. Now I know they made some tube models of the era, but this is how did Sansui put everything into one compact package? They killed the tubes. They used transistors instead. And so this is one of their very first, I think, transistor solid state ads from Sansui. Now we have the Pickering ad, quite colorful. This jumped out at me as soon as I saw it. It felt like an ad from the 70s, but this is 1964 again, and I was kind of surprised at how much color we have there. But natural sound begins with Pickering. So they've got various models there, and looking pretty good. On the right, Electro-Voice. Which end of this popular hand tool is the handle? Well, you passed the test if you qualify to build any of these handsome Electro-Voice pre-finished kits. So here we have kits for speakers. We've seen a lot of the kits in the ads for various gear, but I think this is the only one we've seen for speakers. Well, there you go. I told you that was going to be a lot of ads. I think I got a little bit hoarse there at the end with the number of ads from 1964. There were a lot of interesting dynamics going on there. We saw the sort of the end of the tube era, and Fisher in particular trying to push out their inventory of tube gear. I imagine they had quite a bit of 500Cs because they were certainly advertising those. At the same time saying, hey, wait, we've got some new solid state stuff coming, so stay tuned for that. So an interesting, manufacturing dilemma. How do you get the old models out to bring in the new? So I guess it was probably a lot of sales going on at the store level for those old tube models, from that time frame. So if you had a time machine, you could probably go back and pick up some really cool tube gear on the cheap in 1964 dollars anyway. But other companies were ahead of the game. There were several that were already bringing out, their transistor solid state models. Several companies that were just new into solid state that materialized. I guess they were trying to take advantage of having access and some capabilities. Maybe they rebranded other manufacturers' products. I don't know, but there were several brands that don't think stood the test of time. The big guys were still Fisher and Scott. They probably still dominated quite a bit. And this is 64 up to probably late 60s, and then you saw the other brands coming in, the Japanese brands. Sansui being one of those, which was one of the very last ads we saw. Pioneer, of course, and those famous Watts Wars of the 70s. So it took another 5 to 7 years, I guess, and those other brands started coming in and supplanting the brands that were well established in the 50s and 60s. So we're seeing some evolution there of the the brand recognition, I guess. So that's it. It's been a very, very long video. Hope you enjoyed that. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you want to make sure you don't miss that next video, hit subscribe. Want to get notified, hit that bell. Give us a thumbs up. Certainly appreciate it. That helps us as well. And we'll see you next time.